Welcome to this guest edition with Love for a Lifetime. I am joined by Lisa Copeland. She is a renowned love coach. And before I tell you about her, Lisa, first off, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure being here, Bob.
I know it was probably years ago when we spoke, but I know about you and I want to tell the audience about you is you're internationally acclaimed and you've done a lot of your work is for women over 50, probably since 2012.
hmm
You've got a popular book, The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50. It's on Amazon. And you have been featured in, there's so many, but I'll name a few. The Huffington Post, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Dr. Phil, ABC, Fox, and more. It says I know you are very passionate about your mission and you love inspiring and motivating women to feel confident and empowered and joyful as they navigate dating through their 50s and beyond. So I think your mission is worthy. I'm glad to have you. And I wanted to jump in with you and start with, you picked this topic, but I thought, oh, that's a great topic. It's, can you find love in your 50s, 60s, and 70s? And I know we can go a lot of different directions with that, but what's your initial thing if someone asks you some version of that, potential client or maybe someone in an interview? How do you respond to that?
I tell them absolutely, but you definitely have to make some mindset shifts to do it because, so many women, men too, go out there and date like they did in their 20s, and we're not 20, and we're not looking for babies. We're looking for support and love and a playmate, truthfully.
So, well, like that. So I'm going to be devil's advocate a little bit. So when I hear that, let's say if I'm guarded or if I've been hurt and I hear, you're not in your 20s, what I hear is, oh, I've got to settle for something yuck, something I don't want. Now, I may not say this, but in my mind, if I'm thinking that, sorry.
Yeah, I think you're on track with that. I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people think. The thing is when we dated in our 20s, it was very hormonally based because we
Mm-hmm.
were looking for survival of the fittest. This is all caveman days. Alison Armstrong works with this a ton. And
Mm-hmm.
we still have that DNA coding within us to look for the strongest guy to have a baby with. So that's where chemistry is. What it is today, I have so many women say to me, I didn't feel the spark right away. And the thing is the spark is hormones. That's all it is. It's a chemical reaction in your body. It doesn't mean he's the guy for you. And oftentimes, in fact, when we have that much chemistry with someone or instant chemistry, we have a tendency to trust them before they've proven they're trustable. So what I share with my clients is I think the thing you want, or I feel the thing you want to be looking for is connection, not that zing-a-ring thing, but connection. And that takes time. When we were young, like I met my first husband in college. It was 4 years before we even thought about marriage. We didn't go on a cup of coffee and say, oh my God, is he the one in 30 minutes? So I think that's the biggest thing is we're not giving people a chance to get to know them. And that's how the chemistry builds, by the way, and the attraction builds as you get to know someone.
So many things to unpack from that. I love the idea that the instant attraction, how it can be accurate at times. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions I've seen, but I like how you put that in context of, no, this is just a hormonal thing. This is something it does feel good, but that it's not a really great predictor of long-term happiness, or it doesn't tell you about his character. I mean, he may be
Right.
yummy, but he may be mean as a snake that you don't realize at some point.
You can tell
Yeah,
you're from Texas with that mean as a snake.
yes. So when you're saying this, I know we're talking to women, but when I hear men sometimes, 50s and 60s, I want someone younger.
Yeah.
Great. No, no, I want someone younger, they say. 30s. I'm like, how old are you? And it's the whole, I want to feel that thing again. Doesn't mean it's going to be a great connection. In fact, there's probably going to be a lot of problems. So I hear you addressing sort of the same thing with women, maybe in a different vein. If I've got to feel that connection, that's not a real good predictor. And then that makes sense what you're saying. And what happens when someone, I'll be gentle, insist on that. I must feel this immediately. I must have this or it's no good. What do you tell them?
I really, like I said a few minutes ago, a lot of dating is shifting your mind about how things need to look and how things need to be. And I want to address in here too the older guy and the younger woman.
Mhm.
I've talked to a lot of men. They absolutely try out a younger woman, or they try to. They don't,
Mhm.
most don't get too
Right.
far. But they find that they just don't share history. And it's
Mhm.
really, they have nothing in common. And most younger women do not want an older guy unless he's filthy rich or unless they have daddy issues, because it's like dating your grandfather. Sorry guys, but it's true.
Mhm.
It's really true. And so a lot of things are mindset. And I forgot your question because I was so focused on that younger thing.
No, well, let's do the younger thing for a second because when I'm talking with, I don't talk to a lot of men, but I'm talking to them. It's if I normalize, I understand you want to date someone younger. You've always wanted to, most likely since you were 17 and
Yeah.
20. So that I get that part. But I'm always interested in the why. I do the same thing with women that want to date someone a lot younger. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but why do you want to do it? And like you said, is it a vanity thing? Is it a thing that makes me feel younger? And I find that men in general really want a best friend. They may not say that in the profile, but someone like you tell me, so you're nodding to tell me what you've seen for that.
Because men don't have friends like women do.
Yes, that is so true.
And they're looking for that in a woman. And the interesting thing about that is women have kind of lost this ability to be soft. I mean, we're very independent now, very strong. Me too. But we end up emasculating men like it's our job. And the way I actually got into what I do is because I had two men I was in long term relationships with say, you don't know how to let a man be a man.
Hmm.
I thought, what are you talking about? I've always gotten along with men. And I did.
How
But
dare you? Right.
I did emasculate them.
Hmm.
Now that I know all this, I emasculated them. And the problem is when we come from that alpha side, and we can because we're strong, and also we've had to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe. And we're not very good at receiving anymore. In fact, to stay safe, we are overgiving, tons of overgiving. And that's really masculine behavior, not feminine. And so what happens is men are not looking for a man to share their, vulnerability with to the extent that they'll share it. They're looking for that softer side. And I tell women, your heart is your strength. Yes, you're smart. Yes, you're independent, but it's your ability to feel, which we as women have sort of been talked out of. It's our ability to feel that is going to draw that man in for that friendship. And yes, they do need that. And it's really a sad situation with men in this, in this world today. They don't have that community that women do and women can create.
Just hearing it feels good because as you're saying that what resonates so much is most every man I know. I mean, I've got close friends that are men, but that's not the same thing as a wife or someone that's
Right.
it's just a different level. There's only so close to certain things. I could tell almost anything, but as far as a connecting way, that we really only get that through a woman. And when you're saying this about the alpha, that's exhausting. I've got a buddy and he's alpha. Love him. We could never room together. That is way too competitive. That would
Hmm.
drive we would drive each other crazy. See each
Yeah.
other a few times a year. We're great. After a weekend, it's time to go. So coming home to that every night would it just makes me feel exhausted even the thought of that. You seem to understand this where it's really obvious to you. When a woman hears this, I guess it depends on who, how do they receive it? I mean, as a man, I'm like, more please, but how does
Yeah.
that come across?
So when I first started teaching women how to come into their feminine side and the way to speak the language men speak and hear, we talk very differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's women are very community oriented and we process with everybody and nobody has any attachment to what you decide to use from it. Whereas, men do have that because they're giving advice from that they
Mm-hmm.
really feel is best.
Hmm.
But what I tell women is y- women come from community, like I said, and men come from this hero response. They want to really make your life easier. And when I tell them to use what I call the four magic words, I need your help. Oh my God, are you telling me to be a
Um,
doormat?
that's
And I'm
funny.
like, no, this is the strongest thing, the most powerful four words you will ever use with a man, because I can't tell you the number of men who have said to me, when a woman needs my help, I'm just thrilled to step up for her. What they don't like is we have a tendency, though, to criticize them for how they did the job. And that is something we have to work on. But women see it as if I ask for help, they're going to think I'm weak. But if you ask for
Hmm.
help, they're going to be so happy and you'll get your needs met versus doing it all yourself. Because we have a tendency to do it all and train men to stop giving to us.
So, as a man, just hearing those words makes me want to kind of jump through and pick up something for you, or what can I do? Because it does tap into that hero part of us,
Yeah.
as you're saying. I think that's the magic of what you're sharing.
Yeah, that is the magic. And I have women who, like me, emasculated men like it was their job. I
Hmm.
attract a lot of clients that way because I had to learn too. And they will say to me, I've even shared with my guy now what you taught me. And the guy will always tell them, keep doing it. It's
Hmm.
great. And it's not because they're trying to control you and tell you what to do. In fact, if anything, what they're telling you is, this makes me happy to help you. And we don't realize it. And that is where your power is with a man, that we don't understand. You guys will do anything for us. Emotionally healthy men will do
Hmm.
anything for us in their power to make us feel safer and provided for and protected. That's all caveman stuff again on both sides.
When you're saying this, I'm going to, just from a guy's standpoint, I would say it's most men. Now, there's some exceptions that are mean and untrustworthy. But I think that's more the exception. Because as you're saying this, I could get a group full of guys. I've got buddies that are from mechanics to PhDs. We'd all have a similar reaction because it's not with a sense of entitlement. It's because it feels really authentic when you're saying that. Now, I get it if a woman says that all the time, that every day, she always needs help. I think that's what they're afraid of, which would be a little extreme.
Yeah.
But even saying that, just hearing that, now, does that change? It's a trick question, at least for maybe some. Does that change with age? Does men's need for that change? Like in the 20s, they need it in 30s, but by the time they're 50s, 60s, and 70s, men don't like to hear this anymore? Or how does that impact a man? Does the age make any difference with this?
In my experience from talking to men, they still like it. Well, you tell me, you're not 20. Do you still like it if a woman
I mean,
does
I do, and it's obvious, but I want the women, especially, to hear it from another woman that's, you've seen this, you've experienced it on both sides.
that?
And I appreciate your authenticity because most men, if they would admit, yes, sometimes I've been needy. Okay, we all have. Every guy I know has. We don't like it, but unless we're willing to own it, how can we possibly change something or make an adjustment with it versus I'm this awful thing, so I don't even want to identify with it versus no, it's just what I did. It's just the only way I know to do it.
I think that first of all, men have a honor code kind of thing. I mean, it's just kind of ingrained in you.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is we as women ask men to do stuff for us, like our mother. A guy's mother would have asked. Because my first husband, he used to say to me, "You're ordering me around," and I would
Mm-hmm.
say, "How?" I always ask you. I always say, "Please," and
I know where this is going.
because we
That's
were
fine.
taught manners and
Mm-hmm.
please, please, please. And so I would always say please, but he didn't know what it was. He never I did not emasculate my first husband. It was another husband I
So
did.
I'm going to translate that for those who are watching because this is why I'm laughing. At least I didn't say this, but this is what men hear. It's if I put please in front of something, I can say whatever I want after that. That's what men hear. Please, why don't you blah 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 here? And it still sounds like an order, depending on the guy.
Exactly. Exactly. And he could not put that into words of what he was trying to tell me was an order. And I later learned it after the other two guys said you emasculated me. But it is women's community way of community to make the community better. But men hear it as like their mom saying, honey, pick up your socks before dinner, please. Or please go do this
Right.
before, please go wash your hands before you
Uh,
come to the
yes,
table.
yes.
And we think that's so nice because we were taught etiquette, but it doesn't trigger men to step up for you. And just to prove this point even further, um, I was on an airplane and this is when Continental Airlines was around and I miss them. But anyway, I was in the aisle seat and there was a girl in the window seat and nobody was between us. And a male flight attendant came down the aisle and I hadn't eaten anything, my blood sugar was dropping. So I said the four magic words, I need your help. And by the way, don't change those to could you please help me?
Right, right. No, that's a good point.
Mhm. When I work with women, I make them say it out loud to me, and invariably they'll say, can you please help me? Could you please help me? No, I need your help. Could you please help me? Goes back to mom.
Yes.
So I said to him, I need your help. My blood sugar is dropping. Is there anything that has something in it that is more than just sugar, that's a little more substantial? First of all, you could see his chest just puff up because men really
Mm-hmm.
do. They're so
Mm-hmm.
happy to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You could see his chest puff up, and he showed me three things he thought were good for me. Came back at least four times. The poor girl next to me at the window could not even give him her cup. He paid no attention to
Uh-huh.
her.
Uh-huh.
And she finally leans over and says, do you know that flight attendant? And I said, no. She said, what what are you doing to
Mm-hmm.
get him to help you? So I
Mm-hmm.
shared with her the four magic words and all that. And we do not realize how powerful. This is not disempowering. You are not a doormat. This is powerful stuff.
You know, when you're saying that, as I'm listening, I'm hearing also that it comes across as vulnerable and authentic too.
Right.
And that a question gives someone a choice, or as though there's a question versus this is what I need. Maybe the guy just rolls his eyes. Maybe he says, get over it. I mean, they don't, but the fear might be. Maybe he thinks I'm needy, whatever. I hear your willingness to take that risk. I don't think it's a big risk, but it might seem that way to someone, to be vulnerable, to actually express a need. And I think sometimes women have a hard time with that. I think they'll give till their fingers bleed.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to asking for something themselves, oh, I don't want to be selfish. I'm like,
Right.
what? What?
Yes. So, an easy way to start to learn this is go to the grocery store and ask the produce guys, I need your help.
Oh, that's good.
Go to Home
Yeah.
Depot, I need your help. Recently, I broke my ankle in September. And so I had surgery and I was healing, and we had an ice storm here. And I was petrified to go down my driveway. So I stood in my garage with my garbage can, and the garbage guy was there. And I said, could you do me a favor? Those are the five magic words. And
Mm-hmm.
not can you do me a favor, but could you do me a favor? I
Yes.
said to him, could you do me a favor? I need your help. I broke my ankle. It's healing. I'm afraid to go down the ice. He said, I'll take your garbage can. And he came and he got it. And when he brought it back, he said, you just take good care of yourself. I mean, this is a man I've never met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Do it with a waiter and watch men's expressions. I'm telling,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know this, Bob. They puff up. They are so happy to help you, but we kill it as women because we think it should be a certain way, and then we criticize them for doing it. And that's when you start training men to stop giving to you.
And the best part is we like you to train us that way. We don't mind. We just hope you know how to do it the way Lisa's talking about.
Oh,
Is
train us the way of using I need your help, not train us the way of criticizing and
oh
they
yeah,
stop
yeah. No,
doing
train us the way you're teaching us, because men don't mind. We know you're going to influence us. We know guys that don't. My 16-year-olds are learning this now. Is a girl, in their case, girl, is going to influence. We just hope you know how to do it. And that puff your chest up thing, we like doing that. how can I show off for you? And you just give me something tangible to do. Oh, you need three choices? What about three more? I mean, just whatever, because you like it. You're impressed. You're thankful. You're gracious. I feel like puffing up right now. I mean, it just has that same quality to it,
Yeah.
even just talking about it. And I hear you say that this lasts a lifetime with men. At least that's been your observation. I could
That's
tell
been my
women.
experience.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. And the other thing is, men are really pretty cool in and of themselves, but they're not women. And I remember before I learned all this, a friend and I were sitting, this was like right after I got divorced the first time. And I'd been married 24 years. And this friend and I had both started dating, and we started laughing because we said, we think we really want women in men's bodies, meaning the emotions. Men aren't about the emotions, men are about action, but they will listen to you. I mean, you guys want to fix, and that irritates women. So that you all want to fix. So I always tell women, say to a man, can I share something with you? I have a really quick story. Nothing needs fixing. And that is a
Mhm.
win-win for everyone because men can stop
Mhm.
worrying about how can I make it better? And a woman feels understood because he's just listening to her.
Mhm.
But men are really amazing and women don't realize this. Not every man's amazing in terms of there are not great guys, not
Mhm.
great women, both
Yeah.
sexes out there. But men, good guys, there's a lot of good guys out there that we
Mhm.
pass up looking for that, what we started with, that chemistry. And that guy that you had chemistry with may not do a thing for you.
Mhm.
And that guy that you don't have the initial zing, but it has a chance to grow could be the best thing for you in the long run for both of you.
Yeah, I like the idea, especially when you're talking about him fixing stuff. I don't think a lot of women realize that we're born to solve problems. I think
Right.
men are out there, but we love solving problems, and therefore, when in doubt, I need to solve a problem. It's just sort of my default. That guidance you gave as a man makes it so easy for me because if I did that another guy, he would and he needed my help, and I'm just kind of just hanging out and listening. If I was a friend, he'd be like, "You got to help." And he would, you gonna do something? I mean, we would do that with each other, but I wouldn't even think that way to do that for you because I
Mhm.
don't want someone just to listen to me. I want you to help me fix something. I want you to. So that's a foreign way of thinking, but that makes it really clear. Oh, me listening, me sitting here actually is helpful to her.
Yes. And also, I tell women do not go from A to Z to D to A again to B. And I've had men say to me, I wish you would tell women. Men tell me all the time that when they find out what I do, they're like, I wish you would tell women in their profiles this, or I wish you would tell women. But with this
Mm,
topic of um, going off, going on a tangent, they say, tell them we really only care about something for them. Like we don't care about Susie's brother's uncle who had an affair with his secretary.
mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
they're okay for the gossip, but you have to say, I just have to tell you a funny story here. And then men can hear it. But if you're going on, a guy's eyes just glaze. I mean, watch it happen. And it's
mhm.
not that they're disinterested, they can't follow it. They're just lost. What do you want me to do with this?
But where we're following it, what I like is it all looks like it's serious to you. And that looks the same as when something really serious. So do I listen to all this? Because I can't.
Mhm.
And then, well, I love sometimes clients will do this. They'll tell me this whole thing. They just need to dump and get it out. And they'll say, "What do you think?" And as a way of training them, I'm like, "About what? About any of it?" And I'll say, because I'm a guy, I'm a guy, so I can listen, but I can't remember all that. So I can do either one, but I need you to pick. Now, they have to know that it's talk like this, but they do assume that I'm following everything and I know which part's important, which part isn't. And I'm pretty good at this for a guy, but I'm still a guy. And so what you're sharing with it going all over the place, sometimes I wonder if that doesn't train a man not to listen because it's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
The can't, it's overwhelming. I think that's the perfect word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what else is hard for women, and especially women over 50, is many have had to be alone for a long time. And they have, like I said before, learned to be really strong and problem solvers as well. And I think sometimes it's really hard. They'll go out to dinner with someone, with a guy, or let's say they go out on a
Mm-hmm.
date, and their dinner isn't good. Okay. And for them, they've always called the waiter over and said, I'm
Hmm.
sorry, my meat was cooked well done and I ordered medium rare or whatever.
Hmm.
But men feel emasculated by that. Like, why didn't you let me do that for you? And I think
Hmm.
this is a real hard thing because this is where women feel like, I know what to do.
Hmm.
And it's a real conflict because the man's, and you can probably address this even better from the male perspective of how to handle that, because I think for women over 50 this is very, very hard since they can do it.
No, I think you've addressed it well. I mean, I can tell that you've had a lot of these conversations, and I think, as simple as you make it out to be. I know you could, but every chance you give me to fix something, I get a little taller and I get a little more confident. But because if a woman doesn't like you, she doesn't ask for help. She doesn't do anything. I mean, if anything, she's not trying to interact or encourage. She's trying to get out of there, and that looks the same as if she's being independent. We can't tell the difference.
Hmm.
And so her allowing herself to need or to let me take the lead or just to help out shows some degree of interest. Because I want her to have a second date and a third date. And
Hmm.
so at least guy has a sense of, okay, maybe I'm doing something right. Or at least there's some response from her.
Yeah. And men, don't you find men, I have seen this, men fall in love with women when women let themselves be vulnerable and let themselves allow themselves to receive from a man. That's because it makes them feel good. And as women, the biggest issue is we have, like I've mentioned before, we were taught to stop doing this and to
Mm-hmm.
start to come from I am woman, let me roar, get the freak out of my way because I'm a coming for you, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stepping on you. And we kind of lost this ability to cooperate with each other and negotiate with each other. It was became like an either or. And I get it. Women were really trounced for years and years and weren't acknowledged. But we almost went to the farthest other extreme without, stepping on men to get, to get it done. And now I think a really good thing for both men and women would be more to come to the middle with a respect for each other. And, hey, we can work together and get this done, whether it's in a relationship or in business or whatever it is, because these same things apply because we're male and female. They're going to apply
Mm-hmm.
whatever relationship you're in, whether it's, like I said, business or personal or children, even male children and female children. So does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah, really grow. It goes across the board. And I think
Uh-huh.
it's the same dynamic. I mean, in maybe different relationships, but it's going to spill over because of the difference in the sexes. So as we're saying this and talking about, I'm thinking about women that are wondering, is there a difference in dating men over 50, 60, and 70? Is that a difference from what I was used to years ago? I hear I need to be more feminine, but is there something that I need to be aware of with older men in general?
Well, I think, women, I always hear this. I have them take this out of their profile. I want a man who can express his feelings. Very few men are going to express their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
They'll express their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you find that? You're not going to say to me, I feel so sad because, well, on some things, but you're not going to
No,
say,
but I don't think as a woman you really want to hear that. I know you say you do,
yeah,
but you really don't want me expressing my feelings.
thoughts.
I mean, the thoughts, yes, but the feelings, I don't know that you want me to be sharing that all the time.
Yeah. I don't think I know. But because we're so full of feelings, we want to talk feelings. But feelings is more about talking with your girlfriends because they can process in the feelings way. And men are more really action. So I think for women, you have to recognize this about men. They're action oriented. They love you to their core. I think men love harder than women, truthfully. I think they really do. And
Mm-hmm.
they can't necessarily express that, but they try to do it in actions and making you happy. And I think we really have to give some grace to men. I think I think women have said, he sits on the couch and watches TV all the time. And what I tell women is, I got to tell you something. Most men who are active have a woman in their life,
Mm-hmm.
who's got that activeness and eating right and all that behind them.
That's a
You
good
know,
point. That's a
hmm
very good point, just thinking about that.
they have a woman behind them. I
Yes.
said, don't, they're watching TV because they don't have those friendships. They don't have a lot to
Mm-hmm.
do. They may go out and play golf with friends,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be 4 hours, and they have the other 20 to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So they watch TV. They're single focus. Their world isn't calling to
Mm-hmm.
them, come fix me and clean me
Mm-hmm.
up. Like
Mm-hmm.
us for women, we'll walk in and we'll sit down and watch TV and we think the dishwasher needs emptying.
Right.
You know? Oh, the
Uh-huh.
dryer's going off.
Yes.
Everything
Those
calls for
constant
that.
thoughts y'all have that we just don't. That's funny.
But women go, if he's a couch potato, I just can't, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is another thing. I tell women, give men a chance. Not every guy is going to be a romantic thing. Some might be friends, some might be nothing. But we make assumptions about people based on our filters, which may not be accurate of who someone really is.
No, I like that, the filter approach, and it seems like that would relate all the way, regardless of the age of the man. And the more I listen to you, the more I hear is that, there's going to be some differences with age, of course. A 20-year-old is going to have different goals and dreams than someone 70, but that the core part of it seems to stay in place throughout the years. I go back to your story with the flight attendant, if that's who that was. That's a perfect example of, you didn't even say his age. I don't think it matters. He could have been anywhere from 24 to 48. I still think you'd have gotten the same reaction.
I think so
And
too.
just because you tapped into that hero part of him just by being authentic with who you are. And of course, the four magic words. Let us not forget those. Because
Yeah.
especially when there's said from authenticity like that, I don't know that the man can't feel that. Whether he wants to or not.
Yeah. It's and I have to say, even I forget when I go under stress, if I get stressed out, it's very easy to go back that I have to feel safe, I have to feel safe, I just have to take care of it. And it's really easy to snap back in about ordering or emasculating without
Mm-hmm.
realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and women will say, but men do stuff to us too. Yeah, they do. They do, but most men really, really emotionally healthy men, and not emotionally healthy meaning they're not
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic or
Mm-hmm.
mental health issues or whatever. They really, really just want to be there for you, and we're just constantly pushing them away.
No, but I like how easy you made this, and especially from something as tangible as four magic words. And they really are magic words. Sometimes I'm leery of that folks want something more from that. But how well that works with men, and
Mhm.
even the five magic word thing, I know you slipped that one in. You did a double with that a minute ago with the kind of taking out your trash. And so, I love how practical and tangible this is, in addition to the in depth part of how men and women connect. And you make it, just listen to you, where there's really hope at any age. That it doesn't have to have a number on it.
So many, I think what gets discouraging for women, probably men too, they think, okay, I'm going to write a profile, I'm going to put it online, and just like Kevin Costner built that baseball field in Field of Dreams, they're going to come. But the problem is, I have found that so many pieces are missing, and this is why men don't come. One, women don't feel great about themselves. We're worried what men will think of us. We're not like we were when we were younger. Our
Mm-hmm.
bodies are post-menopause, or in menopause, if you're, dating someone in the early 50s, you're probably through some of it too. But what they don't realize, men have the same daggone issues.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of things have changed for them. So I think if you want to be dating at this age, male or female, you got to get your confidence in there of you are amazing just how you are. Because people have different ideals of who they like, of different shapes and sizes. Somebody might like someone that's really thin, another man or woman might like the opposite sex to be a little chunky. It's some might like someone tall, someone might like someone small. It all starts though from how you feel about yourself. And the other part is can you really clear on what is important to you today? Because we talked about this in the beginning about not dating like you did in your 20s. Get clear on why you want a partner in your life at this age. And the beauty of over 50s dating, you don't have to get married. You can
Mm-hmm.
have a boyfriend or girlfriend. You can have a long-term committed relationship, living together, living apart. You're not in this paradigm like you were in your 20s where you had to get married. It's not so much true with today's like Gen Z, but it was for, Gen X and baby
Mhm.
boomers. And get clear on the values that are important to you. Forget that chemistry. Find a guy that shares your values because that's how the relationship's going to work. It's not, he can have every quality in the world you wanted, but if he doesn't share your values, you're in conflict of how you're going to live life together. And then get to know each other because I had a client, she met a guy she thought was the biggest dud in the world. She had just moved to her where she lived and she met this guy and he said, she thought, I'm not going out with him again. But he said, you know what? Let's just be friends. He read her vibe. Let's just be friends and I'll show you the town. I'll show you everything here. They started going out once a week. They became friends in 3 months. The chemistry hit. She thought he was cute. She thought he was great. They just got married.
Hmm.
So it's like, this is the biggest thing in over 50s dating. Stop trying to figure out if he's the one over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine.
And I
With
like
people,
that about not trying to decide so soon. You mentioned something that made me think of a client before we close up. And this was, granted, he was in his 20s at the time. And he was tall. He was making a lot of money, working with Goldman Sachs or some big investment firm. And so he dated all kinds of women. They were all very attractive. But he would tell me he liked women that were really curvy. And
hmm
I just, in my mind, had a lot of female clients at the time that were real thin. And I thought, how many of these women wondered what they had done wrong?
yeah,
Because they're thin and most of the guys like them and stuff. And he would tell me, he goes, yeah, I'm just not into so and so. I just like someone that's curvy. He couldn't tell them that. But how many of them didn't realize that there really is different things that appeal to different people? And I never forgot him as an example because no one told him, he just said, that's just what I like. And so,
hmm
I mean, they were making false assumptions based on, well, it must be this or he must be that. So I love that part about being confident for who you are, is that there really is, someone that likes what we have to offer. It may not seem that way, but I never forgot that example of just if the women and my clients could just listen now, they would just drop, their jaws would drop to hear that.
a lid for every pot.
A lid for every pot. That's
And
true.
I
It's not
also
just something our moms told us.
I also tell women, do not take that personally. It's not about you. Just you don't fit who they think they want.
Mhm.
Just like a lot of men aren't going to fit who you think you want. But as women, we take everything super personally because we want everyone to love us, even if we don't like them. So it's a mantra that will save
Mhm.
your ego, and stay in that place of I'm really an amazing catch, and there's a lid for every pot, which
Mhm.
means there's a lid for me.
There is. Well, Lisa, you shared so much good stuff. And if folks, so we're going to have your information below if you're watching this, but if someone's driving the car or someplace, where can they find you or where could they reach out to you if they wanted to hear more about you or if they wanted to work with you?
Well, you can always look up Lisa Copeland, dating coach for women over 50. You'll find me that way. And you'll also find me at findaqualityman.com. And when
Oh,
Dr. Phil had to say that at the very end, I thought he had the hardest time saying, find a quality man because it was, it was a guy saying that.
that's
And
funny. That's funny.
yeah, it's either Lisa Copeland, dating coach for women over 50, and or because I was one of the original ones that did 50, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
since 2012, and or findequalityman.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you here. So much good stuff to unpack. If this is something that speaks to you, be sure and check Lisa out. She's authentic. I've known her for years and she cares. I've referred clients to her and I would hardly recommend her. Thank you for joining us, Lisa, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Bob.